No, that's not what I wanted to do. Just out of curiosity.
Oh, look, we've already got people in the chat.
That one. 249. I'm almost willing to do it just because it's one of my favorite numbers. Just a reminder. This was what he mentioned. This is what he said was the strength of our union. What the hell? We're having a camera malfunction now. You guys have audio, right?
Now the camera's not lighting up anymore.
Oh dear. What the hell is this? Alright guys, I think you can hear me. I'm going to talk for a minute while okay, Scrimshaw says we have audio. I don't know what the hell's going on with my camera here.
Oh, I think we got it. There we go. Audio good. Yes, we checked the plugs. Thank you, Jeff Goldblum. Thanks.
Yeah, we unplugged it and plugged it back in. It's
Yes. Yeah.
We've already got a troll.
What's a VYN FYI? For your information?
Yeah, that's somebody posting links.
Oh, okay. I see.
So you're not actually. I don't actually let anybody post links in the chat without direct, like, if you ask me, can I post a link to X? I'm if it's interesting, on topic, and pertinent, I might let you post a link. But we don't let people post links in the chat because that's how you get catfished.
Or midget porn.
Stryker says push the on button. Oh. Waller, my man. We got a pretty good showing this morning. Apparently Sergeant Major did not incorrectly waste time watching the State of the Union.
Boy, yeah, your dad, yeah, he did not. I didn't watch it. I listened to it, and you know what? It made me realize I picked a hell of a time to quit smoking. I mean, you don't see an evolution where they think the world's going to win and Orlando Bloom just starts smoking in the school and they're like, what are you doing? And he's like, what's the point of clean living?
Right.
It's like I had a very similar moment. It was like, I should just go get like some whatevers, tear the filter off of them. Oh. Yeah, that's
So
we're gonna be okay.
I will say this.
We're going to be okay. I mean it. I mean it. No, listen, folks, I mean it.
And he's right. We are going to be okay. There is plenty of reason for what?
It's pointed up.
It is. Let's
You can't fix that with your ruler. Oh, morning, Danny.
Okay. There is reason to be optimistic. and it's this simple. We have never had a president who more handily guaranteed that his party would be wiped out in the next election cycle. We've never had a president work as hard as Joe Biden to wipe his own party off the map in a midterm. And, I saw Obama. I'm old enough to remember Barry O. and the Tea Party bloodbath of 2010. Never seen a president work this hard to just completely wipe out his own house. We are up to 31 members of Congress and senators who have said, you know what? I'm done. I'm not even going to try. I'm just going to retire. And no, now in fairness, the island tipper, Hank Johnson, he's probably not going to run because of COVID, because, well, he got sick and he's old, and thank God for that. You know, I don't wish the man ill health. I don't, but I do want to see his useless old ass out of the house. I mean, he's useless. I want to see him gone.
Your dad points out, and that's actually something that I think about frequently, the problem with the left and the things that they do, the policies they put into place, they just don't hurt today or even tomorrow. They hurt a year from now. Like the Panama Canal.
Amtrak.
Well, at least we still control the Amtrak.
The post office.
At least we still control the post office. Like, we don't control the Panama Canal anymore. And, hey, when you're an imperialist country and you invest blood and tears and money and labor into improving somewhere else in the world, and then you give it away for free, ask Hong Kong how that works out.
Right.
I mean...
Stryker... that speech ranting about the burn pits, yeesh, we issue hazmat gear in the Marine Corps. So Stryker, I'm not sure when you were there, the burn pits thing, especially on Kandahar and Bagram, to a lesser extent when you're out in sector most of the time, but any given soldier that spends, like Kandahar especially, because Kandahar's got the burn pits and the poo pit, and the poo pond, it's literally just an open pool where the honey wagons go around and empty all the porta potties. The porta potties that are servicing thousands of people every day. And they empty the porta potties and replace them with clean-ish water. And then all of that raw, fetid sewage being emptied from the porta potties is just dumped into an open pit that's on the base. We call it the poo pond. On average, a soldier that spends a 1-year deployment in Afghanistan inhales roughly 1.7 liters of aerosolated human waste as a result of the poo pond. There's actually been a fight going on kind of behind the scenes since before Obama was elected. It started early on in our occupation in Afghanistan, for the VA to automatically consider that a service-connected disability, especially if you came out of service with respiratory disorders and I've got obstructive sleep apnea bad. I sleep with a CPAP machine not to improve my sleep, but so I don't just choke myself to death in my sleep. And I have a bizarre case of sleep apnea that doesn't change with my weight. And I know this because I've been through the sleep study at several. This is a thing that I've been through over and over with my doctors. Mine's largely related to some neck injuries that causes me to have a little kind of weak tissue in the front of my neck. So I have basically the exact same sleep study result as at 240 pounds and at 350 pounds and at 300 pounds. So, yeah, the poupon thing that's a real thing. And it's fucking nasty. And I don't mind dropping an F-bomb now because, I mean, we're talking about Joe Biden and the State of the Union and all that. We're gonna say some fucks.
Wait, I have to ask, okay? Because this is one of the things in the speech that stuck out to me the hardest. You say the poupon didn't give you a brain tumor?
Yeah, I'm relatively sure that I didn't get a brain tumor from the poupon.
God, man, you want to talk about... Right as I was starting to feel sorry for Joe Biden, because it happened, okay? Like, the speech started out, I'm like, oh, man, he went like 3 whole minutes without tripping over his words. And then he started to trip over his words.
Yes, he did.
And it was bad. And everybody's going to trip over their words occasionally. We do it here. And we love to fucking talk, right? So, but he's tripping over his words. And I'm just starting to feel sorry for him. And then he said the line about, now, I don't know if the burn pits caused the brain tumor in my son. And it was just like, oh, God, Joe, don't do it.
Yes, Joe. Yes, you do. You do know this. And the answer is no.
And use that to transition over into being able to just to talk about the burn pits. And as you point out, there's some legit issues there. But you could just talk about the burn pits. Right? Like, it's the fact that okay, I'm glad to hear you tell that story.
Biden has to rely, because he has been such an opponent of the United States and our military for his entire career. He has to rely on, by speaking ambiguously about Bo's passing, his voter pool mistakenly believing that he was killed in combat in some heroic activity. That's they very carefully never don't quite not say that. They want you to believe that that Bo was a war hero, died in combat.
I'm glad to hear you talk about the poop pits, because the first thing it made me think is, wow, man, Joe Biden's a real evil son of a bitch, even when he's, golly, even when he's demented. And we've talked about this before, like how, as you kind of peel back the layers, like the real personality shines through because you can't keep it under control anymore. So the guy that would politicize the death of one of his remaining children, God, what a sentence. But a guy that would politicize the death of one of his remaining children did it with a lie. And it just made me wonder. It honestly made me wonder, it's like, are there even burn pits in the army? Like, just, right? Like, that's how full of shit. And
there are.
And I understand that there are.
That's a job.
Look, I get it. I understand that there are, but just that stuck out so hard to me. It was so cringy. It was so evil. It was so tacky. It was so awful. And it was used to transition over into a point of like, who's going to argue with, let's make things safer for soldiers?
Boston Strong. We missed you, baby. Welcome back.
No, but for real, who's going to argue with sanitary conditions for soldiers? Who's going to argue with that? Why do you need to make because when you make an emotional plea like that, what you're trying to do is make your point inarguable. Not that your point can't be argued with, but no polite person harumph for harumph would dare question what you've said.
Now let me clarify something for you and for Joe here. The burn pits and the poupons, they're a problem. They are awful. But understand that the fact of that, we spent way too much time on this, so I'm going to wrap this bit up and we're going to move on to some more of the highlights. But as bad as the poupon and the burn pits are, you have to understand, we're talking about shithole countries that are so filthy that something as awful as the burn pit and the poo pond is a positive development for individual hygiene. Right? We have the poo ponds and the burn pits because that makes the place less disgusting. It is literally the case that Afghanistan is cleaner when all of the soldiers and local nationals pile their shit in the same bucket. Because the alternative is these people literally shit in the streets. Afghanistan looks a lot like San Francisco.
Right, I got it. Okay, so what are some other...
The
other highlights?
The first one, right at the top of it, he opened with, "We're finally back together again. I know COVID has kept us apart with this, that, and the other thing." And he but he didn't quite get there, took credit for actually ending COVID. Now, leading up to this, like I said yesterday, in my predictions, one of the things he was going to do was try to take credit for ending COVID, and he's going to hang some of that hat on the fact that the mask restrictions, as suggested by the CDC, had been relaxed, and then as a result, Washington D.C. was able to drop the mask mandates and the vaccine mandates. Now, a big chunk of the people that would have been there skipped out. They just didn't go. And the Republicans who didn't go have been very vocal about why they didn't go. Despite having dropped the mandates, they were still being required to show a negative COVID test in order to attend this. And I think it was, what's the little guy?
Adam
the little
Schiff.
guy's name? Rubio. Rubio's the one that made a big stink about, I don't have any symptoms. It is, and he's right. He's 100% right on this. Little Marco, it's absolutely psychotic. Right? There's a word. There's a word for running to the doctor way too often and asking for tests for diseases for which you do not have any symptoms. It's called hypochondria. These psychotic shitburgers have turned our entire country into a bunch of germaphobe hypochondriacs. I stopped at the gas station yesterday, grab a cup of coffee, take a leak, out on the road a lot, and I watched this dude. He goes up to the counter and he pulls out a pack of baby wipes, right? And he takes two of them out. He uses one baby wipe to hold his wallet while he takes his debit card out with the other baby wipe. Puts that in the machine, right? Orders a pack of cigarettes.
I'm gonna get a pack of cigarettes
and a lottery ticket.
And fuck it. Give me some Reese's peanut butter cups.
You got any crack back there?
Yeah.
So Chicky Doo behind the counter puts the lottery ticket and the cigarettes on the counter. He uses the baby wipe to put his debit card in the machine. Then he wraps it around his finger and uses the baby wipe to push all the buttons to type in his PIN, right? And then he throws the baby wipes away and picks up the cigarettes and the lottery ticket that she just touched with her bare hands, and he touches those with his bare hands off of the counter that I didn't watch her clean.
Right.
And I'm not saying the place is dirty. I'm saying he's virtue signaling because he's a psychotic, hypochondriac germaphobe.
I call my little cousin a COVID baby. He's 6 and he cries about it. He cries about every fucking thing. That's great. That's great.
The next thing he does is he calls out the Ukrainian ambassador, and I didn't catch her name, but she stands up and she's so strong, she's such an example to the rest of us. Everybody stands up and claps for her, and you were listening, so you missed this. She stands up and everybody claps for her, and as everybody's clapping for her, she goes, she throws
Power
the commie
fist.
fist. She throws the commie fist. Oh, I'm
Well,
all
it could be the Black Power fist.
No.
It could be the what?
Well, yeah. There's the Black Power fist and there's the commie fist, right? And that we saw that from Volodymyr Zelensky either yesterday or the day before. He threw the commie fist too, and now Russia's talking about pulling together a bunch of people to discuss the Ukrainian situation in the context of their anti-fascist action because there's a bunch of Nazis in the Ukraine. And I'm like, oh my God. If you talk about Nazis and fascists in the same sentence, as if they're the same thing, you've never seen a history. You haven't heard of history. You don't even know what those two things are. The fascist party was a very specific party, a very specific organization. Now, a lot of what they did looked like a lot of what the Nazis did, and it looked like a lot like what the Russians did, because they're all a bunch of Marx-ass tricks.
Yeah, a rose by any other name.
Right. A red rose by any other name will take your money at gunpoint.
Putin making the left come out in support of Nazis equals control. That's fantastic.
That is a solid one. That's right up there with Ron DeSantis talking about the. Okay, so the Democrats had this convention, and they all went to Florida, and then Kamala says, "Elections have consequences, and when you go into a restaurant and place an order, you order what you want. And in this case, you got what you ordered." Yeah, they did. That's right. Every time you see somebody with one of those Biden-Harris stickers or pink hair, this
is what you ordered.
Just ask them, how's that cheeseburger?
Okay.
Did they cook it right?
Okay, so...
Or is it overdone?
So I listened, right? I didn't get to be a part of the simulcast with Polytech. So sad. Love you guys. But I did listen. So inflation will go away if we keep cost down. Like when he said that, it's this big dramatic. My plan is keep cost down. Or no, it's
reduce. Yeah, he promised to reduce medical costs. He promised to reduce gas prices. He promised to reduce energy costs. And Joe,
there's an easy way to do that.
How?
Issue permits on federal land.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that is like 90% problem solved right there.
Correct.
We've talked about this before, how it's not just the real-time impact, okay, but just the signal that it'll send to the world. Like, OPEC would panic. Be like, whoa, look. Don't sell too much American gas. I promise. Right. We'll play ball.
Sergeant Major says the Ukrainian embassy is inviting fighters from all over the world to volunteer to join the fight. Ma already told me hell no. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, old man. I kind of want to go too. And before anybody gets their panties in a twist over whether or not one should support Ukraine,
Boston Strong is killing it in the chat.
I just like fighting wars, and if somebody's gonna give me free guns to do it,
they're probably going to pay you.
I'm super into that.
If you win. If you win, they're probably going to pay you. Okay. It's important. No, but what was amazing was it was the line itself. God, I wish I had thought to just write it down, because he has all this buildup, and then the big dramatic thing was, well, how about instead of just raising the prices and the wages and we just keep cost down. And it was just like, oh my God, no shit, Joe. Yeah, keep costs down?
Joe,
really?
It's not complicated. You can reduce costs. You can. Issue the land permits. Repeal Obamacare entirely. Problems solved. Close the Federal Reserve. Inflation over. Shut down the ATF. There will not be an invasion on American soil.
Now, look, the thing with the Federal Reserve should probably be its own show. There's That's a separate thing that I would love to chew into. But the rest of it, man, just for starters, okay, issuing the permits on the lands. Not only is that, as everybody has pointed out, like, no shit, thanks Russia for making the point, it's not just an economic issue, it's a national security issue. Like, the whole thing, like, the American economy, I read this fascinating article once that said it all revolves around the truck. Everything about the modern way of life revolves around the truck. Not just
I love
going,
my truck.
Not just your truck, but going to the grocery store and there is shit on the shelves.
Yeah.
At an affordable price.
I got you.
Even when you have a heart attack and an ambulance comes and picks you up and takes you to the hospital, the ambulance is essentially a modified truck that keeps you alive.
Even when you fake a chest pain so that the ambulance will get you over to the doodah bus, that's still a truck.
Right. Right. So, yeah, the all the stuff with the inflation, and that's one of the things we talked about. Pay no attention to the inflation behind the curtain. Like,
so I want to try to tag a couple more highlights. We're coming up on our time. I'll push over a little bit this morning because it's my day off, but I do have some errands to run this morning.
Right.
One of the things that he talked about the coverage gap last night, and that's going to be something that we're going to have to cover completely separately. But I definitely want to hit that because we hear about the wage gap and we hear about the wealth gap, and now we're hearing about the coverage gap. The coverage gap is a thing, but it exists exclusively because of government intervention. So we're gonna have to do a little bit of a deep dive on that for you later. He thanked the Republicans that helped with the infrastructure bill, against, by the way, which 6 Democrats voted against. Excuse me. And you can look up the 13 Republicans that voted for it, and that's gonna be. I don't even think that's going to be a show. I think that's going to be like a 5 to 10 minute explainer where I just remind everybody, hey, if you have this guy to vote, get him going.
He sucks.
He is your enemy. He's not just a bad statesman. He is working against your interest. He is the enemy. And then let's close on this one, and then these others I'll hit. We might hit later this week or come back to in a separate item. He promised. I can't believe. Jaw dropped. You should have seen Alex and I both as we're covering it last night. He promised that he would cut the deficit in half by the end of this year.
The first president to ever cut it by $1 trillion. Look, folks, $1 trillion. I have nothing, just like Joe Biden.
Joe. Are you going to send something back? Because the entire, if you manage to cut the deficit, you could in fact cut the deficit in half by ending every policy maneuver you've made since your inauguration, because you have more than doubled the deficit since your inauguration. Hell, it took Obama almost 3 years to double the debt. So, it's just psychotic. Like, remember when politicians' lies were believable? Like, they'd tell you, they'd make you a promise, and they had no intention of keeping it. But they could have kept it if they wanted to.
If China paid reparations, that'd be fantastic. We forgive all that, okay?
Yeah.
No, look where virus came from. No.
The unspecified virus of indeterminate origin.
Unknown origin. God, I love the critical drinker. He's hysterical.
The message. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up right there, and go handle some business. Y'all be safe, and we'll see you tomorrow.